in mind that after about 10 minutes or so, it starts a new file and it will flicker on the screen. It's nothing paranormal. What other questions?
You said 2.5?
2.5 and higher. You just showed me a 4. It was a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. That's how we use it today. You've seen the word indigo around town somewhere, I can promise you. However, when she got the seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep them cultivated in our weird weather. It's obviously not warm here all the time. When she figured it out, she moved it to a cash crop plantation, got a hold of Dad and said, the rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with the indigo. We now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So, in this space, that's the boring business stuff. I have to kind of go through that so you have a gist of who this woman was. We're going to get into the weird stuff, but I will tell you, like, this is one of the spaces that I was looking to retire after October. However, the reason for that is because we were getting some unwelcoming messages from some very disrespectful people on my groups. So, we're going to be very respectful while we're here. Again, things can and will happen in this location. There's a lot of people coming through here all of a sudden. Let's go in through all of the different spirit boxes. I'll give you a set of focus questions so that way you at least have something to kind of go with. These are common questions that we get the answers to. So we're going to start off with yours. So with yours, I want you to focus on the mansion. It's not here anymore, which, by the way, the mansion stood in the front of this space. Eliza's garden, where she experimented with, was lined up with Five Church Restaurant, and right now we're standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. That's exactly how the layout actually went down. So, but you can ask what happened to the mansion and when did that happen. This is a very specific date. It's not like a, it happened in, just this year. We're looking for that specific date. So what happened to it and when did that happen? With yours, Landon, right? Aha, I got it right. So look at me go, guys. I'm going to get you all down sooner or later. I don't know who this rando is either, by the way. So with yours in particular is going to be kind of the verifier of all the other spirit boxes, but you can kind of focus on Eliza's maiden name. The reason why is because Eliza that we just talked about is the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. So he had a first wife named Eliza, and then the one we just talked about. 5 months apart is how they got married. So the first one dies in January of 1744, and 5 months later he marries the one we just talked about with the indigo. Kind of a jerk move if you really think about it. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Figure out which Eliza we're dealing with. Nice and simple. You're going to get her death.
What?
Yes. Ask anything you want to about her death. She's usually pretty open. You can ask how old she was, what she died from.
So you just talk. You just toss it out.
However you want to focus on it. If you want to speak out loud, if you want to just focus on them mentally, you can do that as well. It's whatever you're comfortable with. So I'm not here to force anybody to do anything they're not comfortable with. You did that all on your own by showing up nervous. So how old she was, what she died from, where she's buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. She loves to brag about that. So those are your major questions.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yes.
If we get the answer to something like that we ask, are you going to confirm whether or not that's true? Like if he guesses her maiden name, like if he sees it, can he say oh, it was Love, and you tell him yes, that was correct?
I'm going to tell him yes, it was correct, but also keep in mind you're going to get all of this data back, and everything that I'm going to label as being part of evidence is going to have a link to be able to verify it.
Okay.
It's not because I told you so.
Oh.
It's because it's the real thing.
Okay.
I'm not here to make shit up. I'm not Zach Bagans.
No, yeah.
I totally get it, but yeah, here's how this is going to go down. So once we actually spread out, because I'm going to have to keep Jason behind and show him how to use that motion sensor, I'm literally going to be bouncing from person to person. I'm going to do 2 round robins to kind of see what's going on if we actually have legitimate activity going on. If not, I'll wrap it up by bringing us back here again and give you all of the answers.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I'm not going to leave you hanging.
Okay.
If that's what you're worried about.
Right.
You're actually going to get the children questions. However, tread lightly, please. Reason why is there's a tragedy among the children. So basically you can ask how many children she had and what their names were. After that, leave it alone. Again, tread lightly. That's usually what gets everything to stop going on. Jason, have you had any numbers showing up at all?
Yeah, it's gone from 7.9 to 4.3. Should I have been telling you that?
No, it's okay. I'm going to write them all down anyway.
Now it's it's way up and down, up and down.
Good.
Well, I tried to say
good.
6949, so I was I wonder if that's some kind of significance.
Numbers and names usually have some type of meaning.
Okay.
Do I know what 6949 means in real time? I don't, but I'm going to write them down so I can look them up in the morning and see if there actually is any kind of verifiable anything with that.
Okay.
49 is a possibility now that I'm thinking about it, but I'm not going to confirm anything yet until I know for sure. 69, 49.
So I'm just more curious, like, if you research this online, or do you have like a database of stuff?
I use a lot of Charleston, like Charleston Library Society websites,
okay,
and
cool,
you know,
cool.
Britannica.com confirms a lot of things for me. Like, I'm not going to Wikipedia waiting for somebody to post something.
Right. No, by the way, I'm not questioning anything.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah, but I use legitimate. Believe it or not, I went to school. I have a master's degree in creative writing, so research skills are kind of my forte.
Yeah. Right.
So again, it was a matter of like, how can I piece all of this together so people actually have fun with this?
I think it's cool.
All right, we're going to spread out. With yours, we're going to turn up your sensitivity a little bit. I'll probably be coming to you pretty quickly after I'm done with Jason, just so we can kind of see how that works, and I can show you a little bit more about it. But basically, with yours, you can be asking for Eliza's initials, and hopefully we're going to get them. You know that they're ELP, and I want them consecutively. So again, we've had anagrams with her name here in the past, so it looked like EULZIA. So we had all the letters of Eliza with an interference of U. So I was pretty excited about that. But at the same time, I would rather have a full spelling. We've had full spellings of other things in this location. I will just see what comes through. So ELP is really what I want you to kind of keep focus on, but also look to see if there's any words coming through that you can make out.
Okay.
All right. Now, with yours...
I'm glad I don't have that or that.
What is he saying,
What do
Landon?
you want to know?
You see the little white box next to the word on the right-hand side?
Yes.
If you tap the right box, it'll give you the full word list of what you have so far, and you'll be able to scroll through it. Just don't hit the red X's. It'll take it off the list. I do give you guys all of that list because sometimes something is relevant to just somebody here, and that way you guys can actually see it. So, let's spread out. Jason, you're going to stay behind. Nancy, you're more than welcome to hang out too.
I don't like that one. Go ahead.
So I'm going to be following up with all of you guys. Stay away from the vehicles. Do not go in between vehicles. Again, when somebody's walking by, go the other way. I'll be with everybody within a few short minutes. Let's kind of go through yours.
All right, buddy.
That's
All right.
good.
Your number. What did you say you had again?
So I had 4.3. I had 2.9, 4.3.
Getting weird things. What are you getting?
Video.
Landon's not bad. Let's ask her a question. What are your initials? Guys, I'm getting weirder. There's a lot of them getting right thing. Not all of me.
I thought he would scare the shit out of Brooklyn.
Free.
Okay.
Free what? Free me.
ELP.
You got it on video.
That's W. That's B. You're saying that? Yeah.
Ooh, ee, ah, ah.
Ask her how many Kendra Porterfield. Ask her how many Eliza. Okay, if it says yes, I'm gonna be scared.
What the fuck was that?
What? I don't know, I'm gonna be a panda.
You hear that noise?
Landon looks like a damn Sasquatch back there.
Landon's stumbling everywhere.
He's so bad. Yo, he was tipping on the old man. Yo, he's suited. Yo. Please, I gotta go for Alex. Stop. Look at him. Please handle it.
Nice slow movements out of your camera. I don't always follow up with
A lot, but nothing's spelling anything. I haven't heard anything yet.
We went to that bar.
Later on. So, you awake over there, Carsyn?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, you just kind of had that like head nod. So, where are we? What's weird is there's nobody here. That's kind of cool. Yeah, in the event that other tours come through here, we'll just kind of split the seas and let them pass through. If you have a camera, by all means, let's get those things up and running. So Carsyn, with your device, I want you specifically looking for the initials RI in that consecutive order. So let's kind of go through why we're here. This is Philadelphia Alley now. Easy for me to remember because that's Philadelphia is where Eliza's buried, right? But it used to be called Duelers Alley. So this is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. Every single ghost tour comes down here because we all talk about the same duel. You're going to hear it a little bit different from me because I'm going to give you different details because you're ghost hunting. Your camera's on your right. You need to stop your video and flip it the opposite way. And then start it back up again. There you go. So, sorry, just cognizant of what everybody's up to. Back to why we're here. I'm going to give you all those different details. Let's get to it. There was a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. So Carsyn, there's your first RI. It's going to be relevant in 2 ways. So he moves down here from Rhode Island because he's supposed to get married. This guy's name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. His fiance's name is Amanda, unknown last name. So Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney, helping her out with all the cash from the inheritance. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that he's not just after Amanda's cash. As he's coming into town, a coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. So, not a very good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody was walking by and saw what was about to happen. His name was Ralph Isaacs. He has the same initials as where the doctor came from, R.I. That device in your hand this is the reason why I have it for this specific story and trying to find that R.I. Reason why, it was showing up on spirit boxes. And I was like,
And the RI would show up on this Ouija board thing?
The Ouija board is new. It was showing up on Nancy's device and on Brookly's device.
Oh, okay.
Like weird things. Like we would hear like somebody trying to spell something out and it would be RI an initial. Like it was weird. We had RI show up on Landon. So again, it's been all over, so that's why the Ouija board is here.
Okay.
We're gonna let this group pass through when you get closer down here. But anyway, he tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. He's like, I know this guy. He's gonna try to kill you. I got some friends at 59 Church Street.
I bet Emil. She lost her mind. But she freaked out.
He's trying to make it go off as they're going.
Oh.
Alright, so 59 Church Street. The number 59 does show up here quite a bit. So he's like, I got some friends there, you can rent a room, you'll be safe and good to go. Dr. Ladd takes him up on the offer, and the two become friends. The longer the doctor stays here in Charleston, the more money he's making, proving his point that he wasn't just after Amanda's money. So Amanda gets wind of this, and she's moving down so they can get married. Dr. Ladd becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Every haunted city you're going to visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. We all have one. However, I actually have proof of this guy, and we're going to get to that. Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He has better seats than Ralph. So they talk about these plays on the way home. They go see Richard III from Shakespeare one night, and they're discussing the new actress that was here in town that they've never seen before. Dr. Ladd thought she was awesome. Fantastic actress. Ralph, not so much. They start arguing. And then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. And it gets very ugly. They go their separate ways. Ralph, I told you, has a lot of friends here. He goes to see his friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of like, you're a disgrace to society, sir. Kind of mentality. Kind of a nasty little ad. Dr. Ladd sees this ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this. So they come down, they took their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot his only shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. However, Ralph has his one bullet. Anybody want to take a guess where he put it?
His head.
Nope.
His leg.
His kneecap. The doctor doesn't die, but he drops to the ground because now he's got a bullet wound to his knee. His friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies either 10 or 4 days later, depending on which version of the story that you're reading. What doesn't change is Dr. Ladd's death date, which is November 2nd. However, the reason why the other tourists all come down here, by the way, the doctor refused medical treatment when he was back home in 59 Church Street because he's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out the bullet himself. They didn't actually treat it like what they do now. They actually bled out the lead poisoning from the bullet wound. So again, he probably tried to do it himself out of stubbornness. The other tourists come down here trying to get people to capture the whistle. And I'm going to tell you that we already have a voice recorder running right now. So when you're listening to this portion of your audio, listen for whistles in the background. Do you guys hear how quiet it is? It is always this quiet, even on a busy Saturday afternoon. You cannot hear East Bay Street, which is only 2 blocks away. I don't know why, but it's always this quiet. Keep in mind, if you're going to walk all the way through this alley, which I can't take you all the way through because I've been kicked out, and yes, we're going to get to that because that's the funny part of the story. Turn on your voice recorders, listen to it later, along with this one. See if you get any whistles that are coming through. Keep in mind, all the locals know the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night. We passed my garage on the way here, so I have to pass this alley every single night, and I always throw a whistle ever since I got booted out of here. Here's how I got kicked out. Here's the fun part that everybody wants to know. This alley didn't come all the way through. It was actually cut off about halfway between us and Cumberland Street, so kind of picture that, which means those bricks on that side are older. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. It means there's a full handprint and fingerprint swipes at the end of the alley. I used to take people all the way through this alley when I didn't know my boundaries as a tour guide yet. So, one night, my entire group of 9 or 10 people, how many it was huddled around that one brick trying to get a reading out of it. And I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. That is the last place you're going to find him. I'm trying to scurry them along because it's outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. We are not allowed in residential areas. The next day was Thanksgiving. I didn't have a tour. I don't work Thanksgiving anymore because I worked for Walmart in higher management for a long period of time. I'm sure you guys feel my pain. The next day, I got a phone call asking me to either reroute my tour or go down halfway. So I decided it wasn't fair for my group of 10 to be mixed with 20 to 60 people. So I rerouted and didn't even come down here. I told my team I don't really believe in the story we're going to go to, but we're going to see what happens. I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. So before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. So I was kind of like, all right. What I did not tell them, go ahead and shut that off for us.
Yeah.
What I didn't tell that team was that we are going to be investigating the female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I was kind of like, all right, let's see what happens. We get down there, somebody else, here's the number 300. I don't know what that means in real time. I have to research it the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I went, damn it, now I gotta read a shit ton of books about pirates and not vampires. So, I've read more books on pirates ever since then. Still, to this day, I keep reading more books, even the older ones, the older English books, because that's where the real stories actually come from. Everything we're going to be discussing at the next location has come from a minimum of 2 resources. Trying to piece together an actual investigation piece out of pirate lore can be very difficult. Have we got anything coming through spirit boxes? Any kind of, you guys seeing anything at all? You're super quiet. Like you're freaking me out, guys. And you guys were the ones that were nervous. Have you heard anything or you've been focused on me?
Not since we've been here, no.
Okay. Any terms pop up on your word list?
We've got human blog, find him, discovery, attic, and living.
Find him actually was heard last night on a spirit box. Yeah, that's weird.
I heard some things on the way here. I heard horse twice.
You know what's funny? So, my group last night, I only had a party of 3 last night. We're leaving, and let's see if we can fly.
That's crazy. How it was made then.
I want to touch it.
I think it's. I love history.
Yeah. What's your name?
Can it go?
Can you look at it?
Nope.
Can you ask me if you can use it?
Use it.
Can you look at it, please?
Okay, I'm not looking at that.
Seriously, please.
I don't want to. If not, just go behind that plastic.
I can't. Yeah.
I don't always follow up with those in real time, just because it's usually not always a real-time catch. I do send them to YouTube, so you can actually put them up on your TV. I watch them on a pretty large computer screen. One of the first nights I used that thing was one of the best orb catches I've ever had. It was giant, and it was an intelligent. Like, it actually came towards me, and then went up. And it disappeared in frame. Like, it appeared in frame and disappeared in frame. So that was kind of like, that's a big thing for me. So if like a bug is coming from outside the frame, I can debunk those pretty quickly. But with that specific orb that came through that night, and it was here that it actually came through. So I was like super stoked, because that was kind of a little bit of a rough night. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of evidence coming through. So when I caught it the next day, I'm like, are you shitting me? Brand new camera catches it like the second night. So I was pretty stoked.
Something used to be here back in the day?
No.
I would assume yes.
This? No. This actually belongs to the church.
It's part of the land?
Yep. So
same with all like the graves, I assume. What's on the other side of this wall?
This is there's another side of the cemetery. So there's 2 different sides to the cemetery that belong to the church.
Okay.
One's for natives, one's for everybody else.
Okay. That makes sense.
But yeah, this all belongs to the church. So on Saturday nights, yeah, we see a little bit more cars over here, but usually by the time I get here, it's pretty cleared out. Got any letters coming through? Did you turn up your sensitivity at all?
No. How do I do that again?
It's below the red light, so turn it clockwise.
Okay.
So it stops. There you go.
Maxed out.
Perfect.
Back to
You haven't been getting much out of that thing at all.
No.
What's your radar letters?
They don't like me. I got E.
They don't like me.
Which is cool.
Jason.
Just use it.
I will. Who's Jason?
There's actually a restroom in the garage across the street if it's open. A little cleaner than the porta
How
potty.
close is it?
Like right across the street. I'm staring at it.
You can see the bathroom?
Yeah.
I'll see the sign for it.
Yeah.
Can I run?
Go for it.
It's telling me to go. E-L.
Hand your device over.
Oh, I see it right there.
There you go.
Right, I
It
already
might not be open, so you know.
It's
you should
okay.
wait for the porta potty.
No, I think I'll take the chances.
Alright, I'm not gonna let you walk by yourself.
Bye.
My finger hurts like hell.
That's not finger. Wait, you got paint on there. I got paint on there. Y'all, listen.
Y'all. When it's silent.
No, they're just hanging out down here.
We asked.
Oh, we said, yeah. And it
Sorry,
just went
please
dead
drop.
silent. It was scary.
What's
Ooh.
weird is that specific device with the thermal imaging camera. I've seen where I was with a smart group, and that's all we were using was a thermal in that device. And the person with the thermal imaging camera was filming us, and a white film went over the person using your device, and then that device shut down completely. Like, weirdest thing I've ever seen, and it was here. So it actually happened in that corner, and then as soon as we walked out of that corner, the spirit box kicked right back on, and it was already in record mode, and there was no hiccup when I went to the recording. There weren't 2 recordings; it was still all one. It was so weird. Any terms coming up?
We've got
Kate.
Olivia for Office Kate Play and Naval.
Naval?
Naval.
Like N-A-V-A-L?
N-A-V-A-L.
That's definitely a piratey term.
Yeah. Wait, we heard something else. What did we heard earlier? Shield?
You heard Rachel.
Do not shield, and I heard Rachel.
Do not shield.
turn my sensitivity down. It's going wild.
Yeah, turn it down a little bit.
I did. It's still going just like crazy.
Oh, you're turning the other one. That's why. You have all three of them.
Oh.
Pirates.
That's why you
You're
guys.
pirate?
Yes.
I showed up here last time.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Is it though? Yeah, you had all three of them running. So that thing actually runs not only on EMF, but it'll also work off of temperature. So any deviation in temperature, it'll go up or down, stop the cursor. And then this one is a tap. So if you're like tapping it or it's jostling in your hand, they want you to teach the ghost how to come up and touch the device.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is terrifying.
All right. So, Nancy, you got anything on last time? Nothing? All right, let's start heading back over towards the wall. So, first night I came here was beginning of November, and it was a small group, and I just told them, like, hey, we're going to experiment with some new spaces that I've been looking into. I don't know what we're going to find, but we're going to wing it. And they were cool with it. So, first time I came here, obviously you guys see a ton of monuments in this location. I didn't know who we were going to be connecting with, if anybody at all. What actually happened was all the clues to the gentleman on the monument behind me, like, led directly to him. We had almost his full name, we had the year of his birth, and something about his wife. I don't remember specifically, but it was very interesting. So I was like, I know I've heard this story before, but it was not in this location. I do a lot of other ghost tours to see what's going on. I go in Sneaky Pete and I run a few EMF meters and a voice recorder and record it later and see what they got going on. I heard this story at the Charleston Library Society from actually a good friend of mine. This is Henry Timrod behind me. He was an author. Quick gist on his whole story. Here's how this goes. What I do know about the man. He was born in 1821. And that was the first thing we heard as soon as we walked into the space was 1821 from the spirit box. Yes, it was verified. So he was very sick even from a young age. You have to remember this man was alive during the Civil War, which took place in the 1860s. He wanted to fight for the Confederacy, for the South. So he joined the army wanting to fight. His comrades figured out that he was too sick to fight. So they actually sent him home, and they knew he was a writer and a poet. So they said, go be the voice of the war. And that's exactly what he did. He started writing what it was like in the battlefield and what the people of Charleston were actually going through. So he became this big, renowned poet. His son dies a few years later. So, a very tragic story. And we're going to get into, a couple of details about his son that you're going to find out. But his son dies at a very young age, but he's still sick. His friend from college calls him up. His name is Paul Hayne Hamilton. So his initials are PHH in case something pops up. He calls him up and says, you know what, you've had a rough couple of years. I know you're still sick. Why don't you kind of take a break and go finish writing the piece that you're working on at my cottage in Columbia. That's in the middle of the state. So he goes out to the middle of the state and he writes his last words. His last words were, beholder of brief mortality, which means holder of short life. And then Henry Timrod coughs, and his cough lands on the page in the form of a blood stain because he had tuberculosis. Now, the blood stain actually looks like a person writing over their desk. They called this the blood book. That was his last cough because he died right there while writing that last line of beholder of brief mortality. I'm going to show you what this page actually looks like because they put it on display one day a year at the Charleston Library Society because that's where the collection is held. It is called the blood book. We have gotten the term red, blood, and book all in the same evening at this location. So, what I'm going to do after I show you what the actual blood stain looks like is I read the last stanza from his poem called Charleston just to kind of stir things up a little bit. And it has a few specific key terms in it that will actually come up through your spirit boxes and communication devices. This is the page that he copied on. You can see it looks like a man writing over his desk. Again, kind of a little bit of a creepy story. A few things you guys can ask while you're here that I know for certain is the name of his son, what his son's birthday is, because that's a very specific date.
What's his name again?
The gentleman, the father? Henry Timrod. His son's name is very specific, so I will tell you that. The other piece about this is his wife's name has come up several times at this location. Have you guys seen those like stick cameras like on your TV shows? You guys know what I'm talking about? Where it looks like a stick figure in there? I had somebody bring one of those cameras on my tour last week, and obviously it was his first night out with it. We actually had full contact with him standing right here, and he was actually raising his arm on command based on, hey Henry, is it okay if I read the last stanza from your poem called Charleston? Please raise your right hand. And then it would go back down. This went on for 8 minutes. We have the full footage that's actually going to be on your data page tomorrow morning. You'll be able to scroll right down to it and be able to watch it. But let me get into that quick stanza. I know reading poetry is like the most boring thing in the world, but we're stirring things up. You're on a ghost hunt. We know not, in the temple of the fates, God has inscribed her doom, and all untroubled in her faith she waits, the triumph or the tomb. This was written in 1862, right in the middle of the Civil War. He's basically stating he's waiting to see what's going to happen to his beloved city of Charleston, the triumph or the tomb, based on the outcome of the war. So again, I know poetry is not everybody's bag, but it's mine. So we're going to go through it and see if we can stir some shit up by doing so. Here's the weird thing about the space. You can ask those questions that I told you about. Again, I don't know everything about this space. I'm still in the middle of reading 2 different biographies. If you're the vice person, we have over 100 in this location in different spaces and different nights. So some nights it shows up over on this location, over where we came in, or on the exact opposite side of the obelisk in the center of the park. So it's near the tree on the left-hand side. Take your pick. Test them all. Some nights we get nothing. Other nights it's in one space and not the other, and vice versa. Everybody else, definitely get us lots of footage in here. I'm still studying this location. Get that thing cranked up all the way as far as your counterclockwise, your clockwise on the bottom. Any crazy words showing up on yours?
Old Exchange. That's the only thing I've heard.
You've heard Old Exchange?
Old Exchange.
We have the Old Exchange building here.
On the way here. Old Exchange.
Still not near it. I'm not close enough where I would be like, hell yeah, we're near the Old Exchange building. All right, let's spread out. Let's see what we can find in this location. Last stop. I'm gonna write it down because it's still good. We need the sun.
DP. Gotten anything from that device in this location. So it wasn't anything relative to the story I just told you, it was relevant to another map that I actually oh shit. It's kind of a weird spell. Might be a little bit that close, but it's really too much. I'm gonna scale it back.
Some pretty houses. I'm sure read history stuff tomorrow on the way home.
Oh, yeah?
Go look at this. That little sign say.
Elected by the Grand Lodge, Brigadier Second Masons of Michigan, commemorated Captain John Christie of the 60th Royal American Regiment, founder and first Michigan officer.
Oh no, baby. This.
Beauregard. I love doing Beauregard. Wait, is he in there?
No, there's nothing on the other side.
Huh?
There's nothing on the other side.
Alright, come on. Give us a little something, something. Beauregard. Beauregard. Let's go.
Walk on it. Actually, I don't walk in the grass there.
For a time capsule to be opened in 2061, that's 40 years. We'll be in our 60s.
This is so cool.
Guys, there's a time capsule. Wow, from the 60s. Oh, we're just reading about this time capsule because that's really cool. From the 60s.
There's a lot of different things around town that are either time capsules, because we just had the Francis Marion Monument taken down. That was in 2020. And they found a time capsule in the base of it. It actually had a lock of John Calhoun's hair, who was our 7th vice president.
What?
Yeah.
I'd love to be around when they open stuff like that.
It was on the news. I was actually quite pissed that they took the monument down, just because there's another thing I'm involved with in Charleston. It's called The Secret. So it's kind of like a buried treasure that's been here for almost 40 years, and nobody can find it. 12 different cities. It's a whole different thing, but it was something I was involved with.
Yeah.
But that monument that they took down of John Calhoun was actually part of my puzzle solve. So I was kind of like pissed off that they took it down.
What do they do with it? Just
So it's locked away right now because it was part of the whole Black Lives Matter piece. John Calhoun was a well-known slave owner, and it was all about slavery. So it was a big deal down here. But they took it down, and it's in a safe place from what I know. They were going to put it up next to his grave, which was on the other side of that wall that you and I were discussing earlier by the Powder magazine, because that's where he's buried. He's in a sarcophagus there. So they were going to put it there, but it is open to the public, so they were afraid it was going to get damaged.
Yeah, I mean,
so they're going to send it to, I think it's going to go upstate somewhere, from what I know. You know, that way it's secure. But the monument base, they just destroyed it. I mean, it was marble and all kinds of concrete underneath there.
I do remember seeing about that.
But the time capsule, like, they kept all those pieces, and it was a big piece on the news. Like, it was live. So, I was up in the middle of the night as they were tearing down the monument, and then a few weeks later they were opening the time capsule, like right in front of you.
they just have a bunch of them spread out around here.
Yeah, you just gotta know where to go.
Oh, that'd be
I
cool.
wonder what's in there from the 60s.
I know. I'd love to know.
What year is this one?
1961.
2061.
Don't know.
So 100 years later.
Yep.
There's no telling what's in there.
We kind of had an idea with the Calhoun. I mean, there was money from that time, his hair, documents that he signed, like really expensive things that would
That's
be
awesome.
valuable today. What do you guys got?